I knew I smelled you. The f***, Scott?
What?
Huh? What, are you spying on me now? You Magnum PI?
What?
Telling your mom that I'm homeless? You think it's funny to tell her that I'm a loser?
What are you talking about? No, what?
What do you mean, what am I talking about? You talking to my ex-wife?
Yeah, she's actually a really nice person.
Oh, is she? Why don't you marry her? Why don't you marry her and see what the f*** happens?
Hey, I'm just trying to protect my mom from you, okay? You're a f***ing psychopath.
Oh, I'm a psychopath?
Yeah.
I've been nothing but nice to you. I tried giving you directions, and all you've been doing is trying to destroy everything that I have with Margie.
Because you're a f***ing loser, dude. You're a degenerate gambler, and you're in your mid-50s. Who bets on the Jets? Have you not learned anything about betting?
The Jets are gonna come back!
No, they're not! They're never gonna come back! They're never gonna come back!
I'm trying to give your mother a good life.
Hollywood and Hello, world. The One Star Cowboys podcast is back with you. Hope you're doing well. I'm Kevin Turner. We have John Machota, Saad Youssef, Kent Garrison. We'll clean up a little bit of the events from Sunday night. We wrap our heads around that tie, and we'll move ahead because the 0-4 Jets wait for no one. They're ready on a short week, and they're pissed. Start with you, John. Man, we didn't get to talk face-to-face after the game, but, your tweets were setting the tone of, the players kind of acting like it was a loss. Although, would I be wrong to say that Dak almost seemed relieved or somewhat? I mean, I was going off a couple clips from Dak's press conference and then walking down the tunnel as well. It seemed to be like he's the one guy on the team who's kind of like, yeah, whoa, got away with one there.
My senior year of high school, there was a team that city rival, basketball rival that they were better than us and they beat us pretty good, but it's one of the best games I ever played. And I was just fine after the game. And I will always remember my coach just screaming at me about it. Like, I was like, I don't know, man, like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be down right now. It's the best I've ever played in my life. And that's kind of like, I think of Dak and that, like, what is he really gonna be upset about? Like, has he ever played better than that? He might have played as good. I don't know that he's ever played better than that. When you factor in everything, the missing 2 offensive linemen, not having CeeDee Lamb, watching the game over and just seeing how close Micah Parsons was so many times to just making some very bad things happen. And Dak was in his bag. I mean, he was as comfortable as can be in those conditions, and I'm sure, like, you can say that there's games where he played better, but I'm factoring in the opponent too, and I guess, Dak doesn't feel this way. And I know he didn't last week and just being around him, but I certainly thought that this would be at least a 10-point Packer win. And the way the game started out, I didn't feel any differently. Even at halftime, I was like, man, that's pretty wild that they had that momentum going in, but still no confidence that the Cowboys defense would stop them enough in the second half to get a win, which they didn't. They got a tie, which, I mean, that's some baby steps there. But I mean, there were plays to be made that, that defense, if it just shows up on a handful of plays, the Cowboys win that game. The ESPN analytics I want to say it was right after that Pickens touchdown catch with under a minute to go. I want to say that the Cowboys are like a 75-80% favorite to win that game at that point. And that's with Packers having their timeouts and everything, The law of averages say that your defense is going to come up and make some type of a play, and this team didn't. But you mentioned them playing the Jets this week coming up, and we'll get into that. But I think this could be a good get right game for the defense because that Jets passing offense just isn't good, And so I guess the flip side though, if you look just as bad against them, and let's say Fields has a great game, then that looks really bad for you. And I wrote a story today on The Athletic about, it just 3 weeks straight of how bad this defense has been that, even from a writing standpoint, you're sitting there going, all right, what new way can I write about the defense being terrible? And so this week I wrote about how it kind of compares to me to the 2020 defense. And obviously not the run defense in this group is way better, whereas that run defense was just horrid. And there's some things that are better, some things that are worse, but it's very comparable, those two defenses. Again, I'm only going off through the first 4 games. And obviously that was a disaster. Mike Nolan got fired at the end of the year and all of that. But it is also interesting just to see how those 2 seasons, bookended, in the middle is the 4 years with Micah Parsons. So, it's it's interesting because just like 2020, the players in the locker room are saying all the right things. Jack Sanborn, Solomon Thomas, Trayvon, Kenny Clark are all talking about how it's just these little things that can be fixed, and maybe it can. But I will say 3 plays in that deep ball to Matthew Golden that could have been caught by Wicks, or I don't know, maybe there was a third receiver that wasn't in the picture that could have also caught it. I mean, that was just not a good sign that what they had worked on in practice was being executed. So I don't buy into that they're just a little bit here or there from getting it fixed.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And John, you said like even going into halftime, you thought the defense isn't going to be able to stop, and they didn't. The Packers scored on every single possession in the second half and into overtime. So I'm with you on that. I don't have any confidence in the defense, but it's so weird because the NFL truly is any given Sunday, and I think the Packers really show that more than anything. I mean, for the first week, the way they beat the Lions, the scoreboard didn't even do justice to how good the Packers were in that game compared to the Lions. Now, obviously, the Lions are breaking in 2 new coordinators and all that kind of stuff, and it's game 1, so there's all that. But then you lose to the Browns in a weird way, and then you put up 40 and tie against the Cowboys. It's just really weird. And we saw the Chargers lose to I forgot which bad team they lost to just now.
The Giants.
Yeah, the Giants, but yeah, so like it can happen, but I'm with you. I don't see a quick fix on this defense, and to be honest, like the run defense is fine, but I also think that if a team with a really really good running team that really wanted to beat the Cowboys down like that, I want to see how that run defense would fare against them because right now it's kind of been. It's been all over the place.
One thing I want to just say about that real quick is when you bring up the Giants and, about beating the Chargers, and then also obviously the Packers not looking as great as they did to open the season. My brother and I were talking the other day about, he's a big Lions fan, and he was talking about Detroit Sports Talk Radio and how they were saying how like they were just, they beat the Browns by a lot, but there were just a lot of things out there that they just weren't great at. And I'm just like, when he was saying it to me, I go, I get that. I mean, especially when you cover one team, like you're focused on what that team's doing. But it made me like go and bring up like the NFL standings. And I was just like, okay, if you keep that as your barometer, like that wasn't a good win for the Lions by how they took care of the Browns, then it made me think like how many teams in the country right now, local sports talk radio, are just praising their team. And the only ones I could come up with were I thought the Bills, the Colts, and I think there was one more, and that was about it. Because
it's
even
not the Eagles.
Bears. Not the Eagles, not the Packers. I don't think it's I don't know.
Nah. Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I don't think.
Not yet.
Bears fans are excited right now. Let me just say.
Yeah. Okay.
They should be.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
Jacksonville, 3-1.
We'll see how it goes against the Chiefs on Monday night. I think they need that iconic win. I think
There's not many though, man.
No, you're right.
32 teams. There's not many where you're just like, yeah, our team's got it. We're rolling.
This
speaks to the parity too, and also another thing it speaks to. If you just follow your team, and that being the Cowboys, for a lot of people that are obviously listening to this, you think Brandon Aubrey is just head and shoulders above every other kicker. And I do think he's the best kicker in the NFL, but kicking in the NFL is great. And when Saad said just a second ago, talking about how they didn't get any stops, the Cowboys defense might have got some stops 10, 15, 20 years ago, because some of those field goals would not be automatic because they're from some serious distance. But nowadays, it's like, especially the indoor ones, like these guys, it's like, even some of those plays with the Packers, you're just like, oh no, they're playing for this field goal right here. They're pretty close to the star, but no, they're just going to hand it off right now. Like the kicking is on an all-time elite high too, especially clutch kicking.
Yeah. And real quick, KT, I wanted to just add one thing on the offense. Dak, not only this game, but I think right now he's playing as good as he's ever played, and that includes 2023. Before their week 3 game against the Bears, Ben Johnson was really complimentary of Dak, and I think a lot of people just kind of chalk that up to sportsmanship. You're playing against the guy, don't poke the bear type thing. But I think Ben Johnson is an offensive savant, and I think he sees and he's able to understand what really good high-level quarterbacking looks like. And I think Dak is playing that way. There's a lot of throws and plays that you can point to, but for me, I can't even tell you the exact one, but it was in fourth quarter overtime. But Javonte Williams down in Green Bay territory had a big run, and you can tell Dak set the entire thing up before the snap. Not from I don't know. I don't know it well enough to know if he checked out of a pass play to a run play, but I can definitely tell you that Javonte was going to run to the left, and Dak saw something and directed him to run to the right, and Javonte broke out for a big run. So it's not just the throws. It's not just the progressions in the pass game. It's the pre-snap. And keep in mind, he's doing it without his starting center, who is supposed to be up there setting all the pass protections. That's something that I remember talking to Dak about quite a bit early on in his career, about how much Travis Frederick helped him in that way by basically taking half the job off his plate. And now Brock Hoffman's a vet, and I understand like he knows the stuff, but Cooper Beebe was getting kind of used to that role and was really trustworthy and everything. And now Dak comes out against that defensive front and is setting up the play, setting up the runs, setting up the passes. It's really, really cool to watch.
Yeah, the only quarterbacks I would say would be in his conversation right now would be possibly Josh Allen, and I would also say Jared Goff. But Goff has everybody out there. Like Dak took it to another level in this game by not having those offensive linemen, like you mentioned, and then not having CeeDee Lamb. Because up until that point, you could say those first three games, you'd be like, they got George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, they got Jake Ferguson and Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert, who, if Jalen Tolbert is your fourth or fifth best receiver, that's pretty good judging by that sideline catch. I don't know how many fourth or fifth receivers are making that highlight grab. But anyway, the running game has helped him for sure. It's definitely exceeded the expectations, but still, just the mental side of it, that, like you mentioned, the Ben Johnson part where, yeah, I agree with you, Saad. You do hear a lot of that, like right before the team's about to play another team, the coaches are like, but there's just so many people talking about it that have nothing to do with the Cowboys. Yeah. That has nothing to do with the Cowboys game or anything. Even whether you care about it or not, he's the highest rated Pro Football Focus graded quarterback right now. I've never seen him play better. I've never seen him more confident. And then away from the field, like in the locker room after games, things like that during the week, I've never seen him more like at ease. And I think the interesting thing about it with him is that I'll always point back to early in his career, when they would play the Patriots, he would be asked things about Tom Brady. And at that point, Brady's in his late 30s, early 40s. And Dak would say things about how, like, I just don't know how he's playing that long. I would never play that long. And it's like, as the years go by, I really started to think that the only way Dak doesn't play that long is because of injury. If he stays healthy, I do think Dak plays into his late 30s and his early 40s, because I see somebody who is enjoying the game even more, and because the whole cerebral side, and you get to a point where it's like, there's nothing anyone's really throwing at you that you're just completely perplexed by. Like, you have an answer for so many things, and he's certainly at that stage. So as long as you put a decent offensive line in front of him and he's able to stay healthy, I think he's gonna play for a while.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, you never know how some of these seasons end, but like we're not. It's weird how fast things go. We'll be talking about another Dak contract, sooner than we think. Like it's weird how that comes back around. But like, I want to go back to a couple things. I want to be very clear about this, because this makes this more impressive. No other team had moved the ball on Green Bay yet this year. Detroit, Washington, and Cleveland were struggling to get first downs. And for them to do that was spectacular. And I do think there is a line where when Devontae Wyatt got
hurt. I was
hurt,
just going to bring that up. I was going to ask you, how big of a deal do you think that was? Because that seems like that was a pretty big loss for them.
Well, so one thing, Shoddy, I thought was interesting when Shoddy said, I'm not going to tell you how we, game plan against Micah, because we play some more Micahs this year. When Devontae Wyatt went down, it's important to remember that Green Bay's defensive tackle unit was coming into this year was supposed to be Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark. So when Devontae Wyatt goes down and you can't stop the run very well, and the Cowboys were pretty consistently ahead of the chains after the Devontae Wyatt injury, then they couldn't get it in that formation where they were playing a lot of Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness all on the field at once. And like that made a big difference in the game. So staying ahead of the change, which sounds pretty football generic, but that was a very big deal, I think, to stopping Micah a little bit. And that just goes to, what they need to do, run the ball. We all know this. It's all fine. You need to do that anyways against teams that aren't great pass rushers. But I thought that was like an important part of the night because, again, they lost when Green Bay lost to Cleveland. John, you said kicking is good in the league. You're right. Kicking is good in the league. Special teams is not good for every team. And it's been bad for Green Bay for 15 years. It's unbelievable. And somehow Rich Bisaccia, great guy, we all know him. Rich Bisaccia is the highest paid special teams coach in football, and he can't fix the special teams woes that have killed them. It killed them in a NFC championship game where they had a blocked punt against the 49ers in the Aaron Rodgers years. They're still dealing with that. And man, the Cowboys lose that game if they don't block that extra point. And I'm not a momentum guy. Never really have been. That's a big swing point. That's a 3-point swing when you block that extra point and take it to the house, and it changes everything about how you play the game. I also think Brandon Aubrey did have a lot of say in how this game went. I am a believer that the Packers were not trying to give the ball back to the Cowboys very quick because they knew Brandon Aubrey was very good. I do believe that. I also think for whatever reason, they fumbled with managing the clock down the stretch in a way that I haven't really seen in the Matt LaFleur era. He has been pretty on top of the clock and been pretty good at that. So to see them kind of fumbling around there was very odd. And I also thought there was a point, I think it was 13-2 at this point. It might've been 13-9 at this point. No, it was 13-2 because 13-9, the Cowboys had just scored. And the Packers had a 4th and 2 around midfield. And they did we'll do the delay game. And I was like, do you know who you're playing right now?
Insane.
Go. Against that defense, go. And
Insane.
The conservative nature. And I've seen Rams fans kind of gripe about the conservative nature of Sean McVay sometimes. And I'm picking up on that a little bit there. There's some weird stuff going on. I think it's because 2 offensive linemen are out. And they're trying to protect Jordan Love, and they don't want him to get hurt. I think that's going on. But it's very odd.
I don't know how he gets hurt by you just doing, let me think. You snap the ball to him in the shotgun and you let Jacobs run for 1 yard, turn around, put his hands up, and you throw him the ball and he gets 15. That's what would have happened. If you don't believe so, watch some of that overtime. Or I'm sorry, late in the fourth quarter. The very first play. Now, of course, the defense is a little bit different there. That check down it should be stopped after 5 yards, goes for like 25. I'm just saying, I agree with you on the know your opponent. Test them on this thing. Test them that somebody won't just be running around wide open because there's a good chance Tucker Kraft is down the seam and nobody's around him.
Yeah, and also the strategy from LaFleur, and KT, you would know better, just seemed a little disjointed where you don't go for that 4th down, but then with 40 seconds left in the half and you're you just had a bad play and you're still dropping back and trying to go, you're too aggressive, maybe carelessly in that situation, but you don't go for it on 4th and 2 from that area of the field. It just felt a little disjointed and weird to me.
I thought they were too conservative in overtime. After Dallas kicked the field goal, I was like, what did they have? 5 or 6 minutes? It was less than 6 minutes, but okay, 4 or 5 minutes. Take a couple shots. You're going to hit on one of them. And at the very least, you're going to get a pass interference call. I know they didn't call the one on Bland, which was kind of ticky-tack. When you watch the replay from 12 different angles, I could see how he could go a little bit either way, but go ahead and take another shot like that. Dare them to try and beat you. The way that they were just going short stuff. And I'm just like, are you playing for a field goal? Are you cool with a tie? You do understand this Cowboys defense is not good, right? You did get the memo on this? You watched the tape? Okay.
I agree 100%. I was just watching it, couldn't really figure that out. Now I get not wanting to have to settle for a field goal and then give the ball back to the Cowboys. So I get the timeout at that, but just the speed they were going, even when they got to midfield, but just kind of like, guys, you're going to need to go at some point. You don't.
I would even make the argument that if the Cowboys still had Micah Parsons and the defense was the worst it's been since he's been there, like by far, we'll say, that just things aren't working out. He doesn't really like what Eberflus wants him to do. So the defense is bad. Even with Micah Parsons on the Cowboys, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I kind of see why LaFleur would do it, because all it takes is just one play. Micah gets through and it blows everything up. I'm just going to ask you guys, who's that player on the Cowboys defense that you're sitting back going, hey, guys, number, fill in the blank. Worry about him. Don't let him wreck this play. Who would that be?
Doesn't exist.
Honestly, it may be at the top of the list. Might be James Houston. That's where we're at right now.
There's a whole stat I saw, and I forget what publication put this out, so I'd like to apologize ahead of time for not being prepared for this. But where Oso Digizuwa's, double team percentage has gone way up since the Micah trade.
Him and Kenny Clark, I have nothing bad to say about Osa and Kenny Clark. I think they've been as advertised. That's the best the defensive tackle play has been played in Dallas in 15 years. I have nothing. I'm talking about, though, like somebody off the edge. I'm talking about like a DB making a big play. Like, who are you really, a linebacker? Like, who are you really worried about,
What I want to say too is going back to the overtime, there's a part where, so the Cowboys get the field goal. And then the Packers got it. And there was the illegal man down field penalty. So I thought Schottenheimer did the right thing here because he declined the penalty. Which made it 3rd and 6, and it would have been 2nd and 16. But to make it 3rd and 6 instead of 2nd and 16 told me a lot about how he knows what he's dealing with on defense, because he's like, we can't give them another play. They're going to get the 16 yards.
They'll get it on one
play.
Let's
get closer to ending this thing. And I thought that was a really good move. And, if Matthew Gold doesn't make a really good catch on a kind of a tough throw,
and I've watched that play over from like 12 different angles, okay? Because I do think that was the game. That was the Cowboys' chance to win it. It just doesn't seem like there's a little bit of confusion, or maybe they're just going over the call right before the ball snap, but there just doesn't seem like Reddy Stewart and Kenneth Murray are on the same page there on how they're going to handle that. And it kind of put Reddy Stewart kind of in a no man's land in between two receivers, which, I mean, hats off to the Packers. They obviously called the right play at the right time, but you're basically going to have in that situation Matthew Golden going against Kenneth Murray, and you have to love that every single time. But it also, you watch the replays of that, like especially the all 22. And again, I always say this, like, man, it is just so crazy how much more, like, I already think so highly of these players to play on the level they do, but like, I mean, everything's on the line for the Packers. Matthew Golden's got his foot in the ground, ready to turn, and Love is already in his throwing motion. Like, when you don't see that on TV. On TV, you're just like, oh yeah, the receiver turned around and then he threw him the ball. No. He's ready to fire before like he's technically even open. And that's the game right there. If he doesn't catch it, or it's a little bit of a bad throw, the game's over. And it's just like the level that these guys play at is insane.
I mean, both quarterbacks played really well. And I think every quarterback despite the Cowboys has looked really well for the most part. But, you can kind of see that. Like, watching Dak every week has become really fun. The Jalen Tolbert play is incredible.
Insane.
Getting out of it first, that's a play that I don't know that Dak of last year, I don't know if he gets away from Lucas Van Ness coming around the end. There's just a lot of good offense that happened the other day in that game. Now, we're talking about the job. We have to talk about the linebackers for a second, because it's a part of it. And I think we immediately jumped to secondary, and maybe that's the pass rush. You mentioned James Houston needs to play more. Yes. The linebackers are we need help there. And we need help there fast. And I don't know that we're getting that until Overshown gets here. But man, that's a part of this, and playing this style of defense. And maybe this just goes back to Eberflus was not hired to make the 2025 Cowboys defense awesome. Yeah, so this is a project and it's going to take time, but the linebacker speed is in territory, I would say.
I'll ask you guys this. Of the linebackers for the Dallas Cowboys right now, obviously not including Overshown, I come to you right now and I say, you have to give one of them a pretty solid, lucrative 4-year deal. Which one are you paying?
Leofau.
This is gonna sound crazy, but Shamar, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
And
It's pretty tough.
That's not a compliment to Shamar James, by the way. Like, it's just like, if you ask me, like, okay, out of those guys, who am I paying? Like, at least I know that he's not bad, or I don't know if he's good, but I know he's not bad. So
I definitely think Eberflus is paying Murray.
Really?
I think he loves Murray.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, KT, you talked about like Eberflus didn't come in to fix the defense this year. I thought the Cowboys linebacking core was the one thing over the offseason that was kind of ready for this year, especially when you factor in like Micah's departure and everything. You're like, okay, Ezra,
that's Eberflus's position.
Yeah, that being the first thing. And then also like, okay, Ezraku and Nealand are young. Like, you're hoping they develop in the next couple of years and whatever with the secondary, like same thing with Ravel and all that. But the linebacker, like John said, that's Eberflus's position. He brought his guy from Chicago to be the leader or whatever in that position. They traded for a former first-round pick. They drafted a guy in Shamar James. They had a guy that they felt good about in Maris Leofau. Like, I thought that was, if you're telling me of the 3 levels of the defense, that's the one that I thought would be the most 2025 ready. And you're right, it hasn't been.
Yeah. The thing is about the defense, so we knew they were going to be playing a lot of zone. I don't know that I thought they were going to play this much zone. And that's the thing kind of hanging the hat on a little bit. We talked about this on the podcast the other night. It's like, at least they tried some things. They at least blitzed a little more. And the rates are going to be up there just a touch more. It was enough to kind of throw Green Bay off enough to get a few stops. Like, not enough, but a little bit. So it's like, feels weird after 40 points to kind of be like, we did see a little something there. And they're going to give all the right answers in the locker room. And Jerry's going to go on the radio on the fan and say that Overshown's coming back and we're getting everyone healthy and it's all going to be good. And really, no, that the position should not change. This defense is not good enough for them to go win 8 games. So
I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't particularly care for Chris Collinsworth. I think he's fine. I think he's pretty good at his job. Mm-hmm. But I'm not someone that's going to like use a bunch of the stuff he says during the games in my stories or anything like that. Yeah. Like I would use with, let's say, if it's Brady calling the game or Romo, obviously. But the defensive story I wrote for today, I included one of his quotes from that game. And I'll tell you why. I probably should have included this in the story, but I didn't. But the reason I included it is because when he said this to me screamed of something that was told to him in one of those pre-production meetings. And like, so those guys come to the Star like a few days in advance. We see them at practice. They obviously get much better elite treatment and all that than we do. You know, they get to go in different places that we don't. They get one-on-ones with all the key people before, and they talk about a lot of things that they're going to share during the broadcast. And now they're not going to necessarily say, hey, they told me this and whatever. But so this is what he said very early in the game when he was talking about the zone defense. He said that the Cowboys, the problem they have is they don't have the pass rushers to really come after the quarterback. So you go, well, you got to blitz. Well, they don't have the corners right now healthy enough to play man coverage. So about the only thing they have left are some zone blitzes where they're going to bring people from one side, 4 to one side, drop out, then drop into zones because they are very limited of what they can do right now. And I would be stunned if either Schottenheimer or Eberflus didn't say that to him.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because you can ask that exact same question at the podium and they are not going to answer it that way. They will be very vanilla. I can just give you a great example. I'll use Mozzie Smith and I'll use Jaden Blue. We're going to say consistency because that is just a wide net. That can be anything. That can be in the meeting room. That can be practice. That can be how you carry yourself. That can be health. The consistency thing is just the blanket term. So when Collinsworth said that, and it was very early in the game, I think it was right after the Packers scored on their first possession. I just thought that was interesting because I bet that's the way that they feel. You know, that feels very like that was told to him specifically that they don't feel like the health is there with the guys. Now, Jerry will say that there's help on the way. And when he says that, he's meaning Overshown. That doesn't mean Overshown's going to be back next week or the week after. And when he is back, he's probably going to be on pitch count. I mean, because let's be honest, on this defense, if Overshown is fully healthy entering the season, I don't see why he would ever come off the field. Yeah. But he's going to be on a pitch count coming back. Clowney, he played more snaps than I thought. I think he played 23. I thought he would be 15 to 20. That's what Stephen Jones said last week. So, yeah, I do think you can get a little bit more from him. I do think Ezeraku, that was his best game. I think that there's stuff to build on there. But other than that, like, I don't know, man. Like, I do not see Ravel stepping in there in the next month or so and hit the ground running. Like, I just don't. I think that what you see is probably going to have to be Trayvon Diggs, Kyer Elam, and Deron Bland. Like, I don't see that really changing. So when he's saying that, maybe that means those guys getting healthier. That's a tough ask if you look at kind of their injury history, especially recently.
Yeah, the only other guy that I would even account on at cornerback is if Josh Butler comes back at some point. And, you know, he flashed very quickly last year. It was a very short sample size. So I'm not hedging my bets on the guy. But, I mean, when you talk about who you have as options, that's probably your only other bet is him.
What about Carson?
He's got a chance to be coming back pretty soon, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. He's kind of like a forgotten man. Like I don't know how they feel about him because he hasn't been practicing, you know. If it was the old coaching staff, you know, which is the one that obviously drafted him, I would be a little bit different, but I think he's got to show something before that they're willing to put him out there over. They clearly want it to be Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, and Trayvon Diggs if all are healthy. Now I will say Reddy Stewart has pushed his way in a little bit. I think that they have confidence in him. I mean, you look at the way that those guys all played on Sunday night. I mean, they played pretty similar amount of snaps, which is if you have those three corners healthy, they don't come off the field. They play. I mean, if those are your guys and they're healthy, like you have your three starting corners, they defensive backs don't leave the field. Same thing with your safeties. Like Malik Hooker doesn't get hurt, he plays the entire game. Donovan Wilson's the only guy that played every defensive snap. That's just how it is. Your DBs, they play every snap, unless you're not completely confident in them or they're coming back from injury.
I couldn't believe Green Bay didn't just do a lot more 4 and 5 wide sets and really just go, and we're going to flag football this thing. I can't believe it. I mean,
do you think maybe they didn't want to score too fast because their only worry was the Cowboys offense and they were just like, it doesn't matter. We'll get down there. We will score touchdowns against this defense. Let's run some clock. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Play a complete game type thing. Yeah. Do that bit. Maybe. There's a lot of numbers, you know, when the Packers were, you know, in 2 tight end sets. You know, look, LaFleur likes to run. He wants to run the ball. He wants to be balanced. He's from the Shanahan school. We want to set up play action. We know the drill there. But like when you look at the Packers, you know, stats in terms of offensive success with 1 tight end compared to 2 tight ends of the game, 3 wide receivers, other than having 2 wide receivers out there, there's a big difference, like a huge difference. And I'm like, how did they, and maybe they've started to move towards that more in the second half a little bit when the Cowboys, you know, didn't get any stops, but there were just a lot of question marks. Well, this is the first time in really this is his 7th year, I believe, that I think people in Green Bay are like asking the long-term question of this guy ever going to get over the hump here? Because even though it's wild complaining on a night where you score 40 points, but I think they all feel like, well, there's left a lot of meat on the bone there and a game that we clearly should have won.
Yeah. And also I think with a lot of those type of coaches, sometimes like you ride that wave for a while. It's until you have to remind yourself, like, they haven't gotten the job done yet. Yeah. I feel like Kyle Shanahan, people kind of think that about him in San Francisco as well, about like everyone talks about the Shanahan tree and the Shanahan and all that stuff until you remember like he was the offensive coordinator that blew a 28-3 lead and then the 10-point lead with the 49ers and he hasn't gotten the job done. So I think getting that one done like the way McVay has goes a long way for that kind of stuff.
I also think, though, with those coaches, we'll just use the 2. We'll use Shanahan and LaFleur as examples. I mean, I think we have a good understanding of like who the good coaches are in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But obviously on that level, they know. So there's a reason that they're super confident too, because they look around the rest of the profession. They're like, so you're not going to keep me? Who are you bringing in here? You know, I mean, it just,
Yeah.
I think about that a lot on Saturdays because I feel that way so much with college football right now. I love a college football fan base right now that thinks that they're going to replace their coach. Like, oh, with who? Who? Where's this Nick Saban coming from that's fixing all these programs? And the pros is the same way. So it's like, oh, you're sick of Kyle Shanahan? Yeah, he'll be fine. Are you sick of Matt LaFleur? Yeah, he's going to be fine. They're going to find jobs, you know? So I can see why those guys are super confident.
I would contend that a bit of that complacency is what got McCarthy in trouble in Green Bay.
That's fair.
But I don't know if this is complacency.
Also, real quick, do you see that story with David Moore in D Magazine?
Yeah.
Mike plans on coaching in 2026.
Yeah, get back out there, dude. And he also had no interest in really talking about the past here.
No, I knew that would be the case.
Yeah.
I mean, David mentioned in there
High roader.
that lunch that a group of us had with him before he moved back to Green Bay. And I really got the sense that, he wasn't like, I felt like even after that lunch that like he wouldn't be talking negatively about the Cowboys 15, 20 years from now, you know, like I don't know. You know this better than me, but I don't know what it was, but it just felt like he really didn't like the way things ended in Green Bay, you know? Yeah. So that's why I thought it was really cool that he got the ovation and everything he did earlier this year when he came back with that. They honored the Super Bowl team because he didn't want to end the same way in Dallas that he did in Green Bay. And I didn't really think anything of that because I'm just like, I mean, in a way these aren't apples to apples, but it's almost a little bit like right now with Bruce Bochy. I'm like, I mean, he got you a ring. How can you, I don't know, like if that's not enough for you and you're an extremely spoiled sports fan, because you might only get one of those in your life and you might not get one even in your life.
I mean, it got so bad that he had to leave, in the middle of the season. I mean, towards the end of the season, like week 15. Like they couldn't even ride it out for 2 more weeks. That's fair. And there is a large Aaron Rodgers component to that we all can, you can guess what you want to guess on whatever happened there. I do think there's also like a Dan Campbelling of the league happening though, that might make people absolutely fall in love with the Dan Campbell walk around coach style. And that could be a tough thing for guys like LaFleur and Shanahan to get over should their bosses get tired of them. And those are 2 guys who have been there a long time. I don't think people are trying to get rid of LaFleur. I just think we're seeing a couple things lately that's like, what? Like a lot of penalties the last couple years too and things like that. So you just wonder, a guy's been there 7 years, you start asking questions like, are they tuning him out and stuff like that? I wonder if the Jets are tuning out Aaron Glenn, who's 0-4 and reportedly went on a tirade in the locker room after the game last night. This is a get-right game for the Jets, boys. I was kind of hoping that the Jets would sneak ahead and put the Dolphins out of their misery just for the sake of not having a hungry Jets team hosting at MetLife on Sunday. You guys have any thoughts from anything that you might have saw last night from the Jets as well?
No, just my thing is when you said the hungry thing, that's 100% what I was expecting to see from the Packers after that Browns game. And I was surprised. And that was one of the big reasons why I thought they would win by double digits. So I just go back to that pass game thing. Like that's the thing. If you can do that even on a decent level, you're going to be just fine against this Cowboys team because they are pretty good against the run, But if you can't throw the ball against them, and then the other part that I keep going back to is just how bad Justin Fields looked last year when the Cowboys played the Steelers and how frustrated George Pickens was in that game with the Steelers. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it does get on track, but this would be a bad loss for the Cowboys. Like this coming off of that tie, they can't be thrilled about that. I could see you sleeping on this game a little bit if you win against the Packers. It's a surprising win and you're 2-2, but you're trying to get to 500. Like, I don't know. You still got to be pretty desperate if you're the Cowboys.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know if the Jets are, necessarily tuning out Aaron Glenn, but I would say like, I think that whatever he's trying to do there is going to take a lot longer than just one season. There was no way there was going to be instant results when you don't get to pick your quarterback. He brought over the guy from Detroit to be his offensive coordinator who was in Detroit for a long time in an assistant role. So I think it's going to be more of Dan Campbell took him a couple years. I think it's going to be something similar if it does happen. But I think there's no way, no matter what happens offensively for the Jets, no matter how bad the Cowboys defense is, whatever, there's no way that if the Cowboys pour on 40, against the Packers defense, they can't do enough to beat the Jets. And if they don't, it's gonna be really bad.
Yeah, a couple things. Quentin Williams still very, very good. So the run defense is pretty good for the Jets. I think they're ranking out at top 10 in the league right there in run defense. So I want to keep that going with 2 backup offensive linemen. I know we're all feeling confident about the Cowboys' depth. I mean, for the Cowboys to go play a game that feels like a win, even though it was a tie with Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass, is such a welcome thing, something that we haven't seen in a long time. Tell you
deciding that was going to be the game to get Nate Thomas's feet wet. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we know, and that was odd, right? I was put him out there, and you know what? He held up okay. So, like, you look at that, there's a lot of teams who would kill for that offensive line depth. So you got that. Feel pretty good about that. And the other thing I would say is, like, Sauce Gardner's really good, although I did learn last night that he's leading the league in over the last 2 years, leading the league in holding calls, defensive holding calls, and I think third in the league in pass interference calls. But the capability of slowing down George Pickens does make you go, okay, so we're going to need more Tolbert, and that doesn't exactly make you start jumping for joy. It doesn't get you on the Flanoy train. You know what I'm saying? So I'm over here looking at this and just being as reasonable as I can be. The Jets do stand a chance at stopping or slowing the Cowboys down with some of those players. The other side of the ball is where you just go, man, it's going to be some ugly football with the Jets when the Jets are playing offense and the Cowboys are playing defense, because you have 2 of the worst units in football on the field at the same time.
Yeah, but you're going to have Fireman Ed getting the Jets chant going. I mean, how can you deal with that?
I think the only
the Cowboys don't play the Jets a lot. I had to get that in there somewhere.
Oh God.
I think the only way the Jets, like that ugly brand of football, when the Jets are playing offense, they do have a couple of playmakers, obviously, in Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. And I think, if you get sloppy tackling, that's the other thing. The Cowboys aren't just bad on defense; they're also dumb. Like they've been doing stuff like Maris Leofau, a couple of plays on that drive, and I'm just talking like
Sam Williams face mask.
Yeah, Sam Williams face mask. Like, it's not just that they're bad; they're also not playing smart. And so I think if that happens and the Jets have playmakers, that's the best chance that the Jets really have to move the ball.
Yeah, when you said about Wilson, that made me think of really going into playing the Giants. You're just like, all right, don't let neighbors beat you. And then they let neighbors beat them, so it's like, you can't just dismiss this. Like, there are definitely times where it hasn't been a ton lately, but the Cowboys defense is pretty good and they can at least take away the other team's top weapons. But with this defense, you would think that would be the thing they would be. Number one, we're not going to let this guy beat us, but we've just seen too much this year where that's not necessarily the case. So, I want to believe them when they say that they got everything simplified and everyone's on the same page, but then they go out there on Sundays and the play says otherwise. And so until the play looks like it's on par with what they're saying, then it's hard to believe them. But I just look at the teams right now that are passing the ball well. When they've played the Cowboys, they've done a lot of damage. And the teams that don't pass the ball very well, that being the Eagles, which doesn't make any sense why they aren't, but they aren't. That's when they've been okay on defense. So maybe this will be one of those games where it looks okay on defense.
Maybe. Let's go and get some picks in right here. I got them pulled up here. John, you were our leader last week, going 2-1. You are currently in first place at 6-5-1. So we'll let you go first today. I'm going with the opening spread that I saw. Well, it was 1.5, but then it adjusted. So Cowboys minus 2.5. As we record now. So what do you think?
Yeah, I gotta go Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win by at least a touchdown. The game will be closer than it should be. But I don't get the feeling that they're satisfied with a tie against the Packers. And I think that would have been the one way that this turned into a trap game, is if they were riding high off of beating the Packers when no one really thought they would. I don't think they feel that way right now. And just with the way Dak's playing, the quarterback is just so valuable. And it's tough to pick against him in a matchup against Justin Fields. So yeah, give me the Cowboys.
Saad, you're in second place at 5-6-1. You stand alone in second place after a 1-2 week. Me and Kent were bad boys. We went 0-3 last week. What do you got for us, Saad?
Yeah, I'm with that as well. I think if you're looking for a letdown week, that's more so the following week. If the Cowboys, just take care of the Jets in a big way, and then you're going to Carolina, I think that's more of where you're looking at a letdown. Also, because I like Bryce Young more than Justin Fields, even though he hasn't been all great either. I think I'm taking the Cowboys. I also think special teams. KT, you brought it up with Bisaccia and Green Bay. The Cowboys have quite an advantage in that third phase. Like you have to be better on defense. You just can't be god awful because those three phases are not built equal. Obviously, the offense and defense. But the way Turpin had a big return against the Packers, Brandon Aubrey's leg, I feel like they're pretty decent. Again, I think some of it, the Packers aren't great. Like I don't know what the hell Matthew Golden is doing back there when he's returning punts and stuff. So I think some of that contributed to it, but the Cowboys do have a really good special teams, and I feel like that should be an advantage on most Sundays.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's a weird thing. Jaden Reed getting hurt for the Packers. I just don't understand. Rich Bisaccia has been in the league a long time. And we have anyone who plays the Cowboys should be minimizing any risk on special teams. I'm fair catching that thing every time, and I will possess the ball because I think I'm about to go score. It's crazy to me, some of the things that are happening and have been happening with special teams for them. Kent, we're going to go to you now.
Cowboys are bottom 5 in the league in turnover differential so far.
Yeah, they don't.
Where the hell are the turnovers, Flus? This is supposed to be his thing.
They come in bunches.
Well, can we get a pair of cherries? We don't need a bunch, Can we just get a helping, maybe?
No, you have to take. They come in bunches, so you're just gonna have to take a bunch of them.
All right,
we're buying in bulk.
But guess who is at the bottom of the league? The New York Football Jets. I'm taking the Cowboys 35-28. Justin Fields is scary, though. He had 60 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown against this team a few years ago. So I'd be feels a little bit trappy.
There is a little trap there too. Get that noon start too.
Oof.
Always get you going. Noon on the road.
Fireman Ed.
This is where I am taking the Jets plus 2.5.
Wow.
I've just got the dirty little feeling on the inside, and I've had it.
That is really dirty.
Even though it's a short week, I've tried to talk myself out of this, dudes. I tried to talk myself out of this. And I swear it has nothing to do with the fact that all three of you picked the Cowboys. I wrote it down earlier. I'm like, I guess I'm going to do this. I don't want it to happen. And surely I would be smarter than that, but I'll pivot and Jets plus 2.5.
They lose this game. I'm just going to stay in New York an extra day. I'm not coming back for a Monday locker room. I'm sorry. I mean, what are we even doing?
You should.
The 1-3-1 Cowboys.
Yeah, giving that Jets team their first win. I mean, just pack it up.
Brother, New York this time of year is beautiful. Man,
exactly.
That's a place to be.
Yeah. I'm going to go see a play or something. I'm not going to open locker room on Monday.
It's the place to see and be seen, John. Saad, we're going to go to you here. Let's do Denver and Philadelphia. Denver plus 3.5.
Man, I think Denver. It just feels like the Eagles find a way to win all the time, and also I think Jalen Hurts versus Dak. That conversation about if you believe QB wins is a QB stat is fascinating because the Eagles are 18-0 in the last 18 games that Jalen Hurts has started, and yet he's coming off a game in which he didn't complete a pass in the second half, and his wide receiver is tweeting wide receiver stuff. So it's a weird situation. But anyways, give me the Eagles. I think the Eagles do find a way to win. I think the Broncos defense is legit, but I don't believe the offense as much.
Kent, and by the way, Kent game is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Broncos look good against the Bengals, who seem to have nothing without Joe Burrow. I mean, absolutely nothing without Joe Burrow on the field. Philadelphia, though, I know it hasn't looked pretty. They're winning. So give me Philadelphia.
Yeah, until future notice, it's really hard to go against them. Philadelphia
Yeah.
minus 3.5 for me as well. John.
Yeah, I agree. It won't be pretty win, but they'll find some way to pull it out in the last few minutes or something. I don't know. I was going off about Denver to Sod in the press box the other day. Anyway, I mean, they're playing well and it's great now, but I just don't. There's just something about Denver where I'm like, what's the end game here? Like,
I agree.
at what point are you going? Like, you guys can win a playoff game, but like, at what point is that team going through, the Lamars and the Josh Allens, and if Burrow's healthy and all these guys to get to that Super Bowl? Like, I mean, Sean Payton's great, don't get me wrong, but like for that to happen, it would have to be maybe Josh Allen to go down, and then now all of a sudden this year's playoffs, there's no Josh Allen, there's no Joe Burrow, Lamar doesn't come back or something like that. Maybe that's your path, but I just do not see them beating with the way their team is, like 3 of those teams in a row to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but they're good. They're good. They win games. They're obviously a good team. I just don't know. I don't know. They're kind of overrated to me.
Real quick,
or not even. They're not overrated. You know what it is? They're like the hipster cool pick that I'm just like, I don't know, where does this get at the end, guys? I mean, are you playing for a championship, or are you just trying to be the cool, different guy, and you got Sean Payton and whatever? Like, I just don't know what the end game is there. I'm trying to win championships. I just don't see it happening there.
For me, if you're going to be a hipster cool pick, you have to at least have the quarterback coach duo. And like for me, the Chargers would kind of be that, hipster cool pick, if you will. Like, it's not Josh Allen, Mahomes, or Burrow, or Lamar.
You don't feel that way about Bo Nix?
No, I don't. I don't feel that way about Bo Nix.
You don't think he's the next Drew Brees that Sean Payton is molding?
No.
To be honest, I don't know if I feel that way about Sean Payton either. So, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying he's a bad coach. We just got done talking about how, it's a very limited supply, but I'm not overly sold on Sean Payton either. But regardless, the one thing I wanted to say about the Eagles, just because the tush push gets a lot of attention, the fake tush push toss to the outside is slick business. That is freaking awesome, dude. Like, everyone just complaining about the way the play is run, and for them to toss it out to Saquon and him to walk in like it's Peyton Manning walking in against the Cowboys on a bootleg, like, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's funny too, because Sean Payton spoke up, and now he's doing the whole thing. He's like, "Oh, I stood up and set for the tush push," and I'm like, "Okay, don't." Sean Payton's annoying to me. That's just a me thing.
Yeah, he's often doing too much.
He's often doing too much. That's the best way to put it. The nicest way to put it, too. Kent, starting with you, buddy. Thursday night, we have the 49ers and the Rams in a bit of a Thursday night bloodbath. I kind of like this one to start off the week. It's happening in where is this game at? Why don't I have that? Oh yeah, it's in LA. It's in the red, but it's 2, 3-1 teams. 49ers are getting 5.5 though.
Yeah, that's a lot. So give me the Rams.
You're gonna ram it?
Just ram it.
Ram it.
I'm taking the Rams too.
Rocking LA.
This
like Stockton and Malone. I knew I could set that up.
This 49ers thing falls apart at some point this year. And I think that might be when Christian McCaffrey runs out of gas. It's definitely going to happen. Hope not, but it's definitely going to happen. I'll take Rams minus 5.5. John.
5.5, huh?
Yeah, tough.
Give me the Niners.
Oh.
That building's going to be all red.
Define red.
All Niners fans.
Oh.
And Sod.
Yeah, come on, Kent. And Nick Bosa's out for the season. Anyways, give me the Rams. I think the Niners are really banged up. Brock Purdy, right. Pearsall, they're all banged up right now. So yeah, give me the Rams.
All right, Sod, you're in second place. John in first place. Me and Kent. We're in the back, but we're going to tortoise in the hair of this thing. We'll get up to the front when you guys take a nap. Super Bowl halftime show.
I was about to say, hold on. How are we getting through this without any comments about
you know where I'm
all right,
at.
just making sure.
Perfect amount of time left. You know what I'm doing. Super Bowl halftime show was announced at halftime of the Cowboys Packers. I assume would be one of the most highly watched games of the year. And it is, after I got some really good intel from that turned out to be really bad intel. I was told by someone I trust, a random account online, who gave me the Beyonce Christmas Day set list, that it was going to be Miley. In fact, it made people from the Beehive tweet things at me like, "Ho, is you magical?" And I was that day, because but then this person let me down as they were tweeting that it's Miley Cyrus, and I was throwing it out there. I was like, "Hey, just get ahead of it. It's going to be Miley," and it was Bad Bunny. So Bad Bunny's your halftime show act, to where great reporters of our time, like Albert Breer over at Sports Illustrated, wanted to let everyone know that he'd never heard of Bad Bunny, like it's a badge of honor. I'm sorry, dude. Like, Albert Breer's like in his 50s. He's not 94. What are we talking about? How have you not heard of him?
But he had heard of The Weeknd. He was a huge Weeknd fan, just never heard of Bad Bunny. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something new, having a current artist do the halftime show.
Someone who has graced the stage during a Super Bowl halftime show before. To say you've never heard of them in 2025, Bad Bunny, is nuts. So I'd just like to call out people for being out of touch on something that simple. That was a gimme. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I just think it's really funny because I remember seeing a lot of people talk about how they couldn't really understand what Kendrick was saying at the, at the Super Bowl halftime show. And I just, I thoughts and prayers for those people, because you're in for a rough one in February.
Yeah, I will say the example you used is my favorite part about the Super Bowl halftime show and social media, is that I'm fine with it. I don't really care one way or the other. But like, I don't feel like I need to tell everybody that on social media while the show is going on. This isn't for me. Cool. Keep walking. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
get that. Ricky Gervais. That Ricky Gervais one?
Right. I don't get like why you need to tell us that. And there will be a lot of telling us that when it happens. And when that does happen, I want everyone to remember that I said this, and I want you to know that I am magical. Ho.
Oh, the social media God complex that we have all got because of social media has made us all forget that we're just specks of dust. I mean,
yeah,
it is crazy how little people give a crap about what you're saying. And we think it's not that. It's very odd. Kent, you're the music guy here. You've been in a popular touring band who could have been a candidate to be at a Super Bowl halftime show.
Have played a halftime show before. We did a Thanksgiving one back in the day. Lions. Besides it being super woke, I mean, Bad Bunny's probably the biggest male artist in the world. Biggest artist probably being Taylor Swift. So yeah, makes sense.
Any guests do you think that will be appearing with him?
Jelly Roll.
I have a lot of names. Don't say Jelly Roll.
All right, then I will.
I have a lot of names. Daddy Yankee could come out, which might not do a lot, but
Carol G.
Carol G. Like I think you could possibly get Dua Lipa. He's done a song with her. I don't know if it was good or not. You never know. Like, dude, Bad Bunny. I saw someone tweeting out too. I saw one account tweet out something to the extent of the NFL does not care about USA fans. I'm like, well, someone doesn't know that Puerto Rico is, United States territory. What are we doing?
They don't care about you. There's going to be a football game played around it. Just don't watch the 15 minutes in the middle. I don't get why this is so difficult.
It's so crazy.
Like, if anything, it's like marketing genius, because it's going to bring in a bunch of people that probably weren't going to watch football anyway. And the people that like football are going to watch regardless of who's singing at halftime.
Bad Bunny's great. Look, I don't always understand. I need to pull up maybe genius lyrics on some of his songs with the translator. I get that. That's fine. Just close your eyes for a minute. Some good stuff going on there. Pretty good little music right there. And he's funny. He was also in Happy Gilmore too, Albert Breer. What are we doing? I mean, dude, and it's not just Albert Breer. It's hundreds of people. It's like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. You know what? Next year, I'm going to get Jay-Z and Roger Goodell. We're going to get in a room and we're going to go through your iPod and we're going to create the halftime show that you want based off your iPod, which that's the future. You know,
who are you guys?
That's 50 years from now. Every Super Bowl halftime show will be curated to every specific person on our VR headsets. I get that. I understand that. But like, let's live in the moment for now.
Who did you realistically want to see?
I really wanted Dua Lipa.
That's a good one.
You might get that. And I don't know if she's big enough to do it on her own. So that's where that. Realistically, who did I want to see? I don't know if there's anybody that I like realistically wanted to see, but I think I mean, it was going to be Taylor, but she wants to own it. So no, I do think the Miley thing carried a little bit of weight. And I think Miley would like do covers and stuff too, to ingratiate herself to everyone that crosses over or from her music. But I think everyone like super popular's done it. We started going to like personal bands that I like. Yeah, but that's not a realistic thing. So that's where we are. And our season predictions picks, let's see, Kent picked Green Day, and it is a San Francisco Super Bowl. Makes sense. I think I put Miley on there. So 0 for 1 for me.
Y'all guys, the other guys had Taylor Swift. So.
John and Sod took Taylor. So, and it almost was the rumors that there were some Adele rumors getting thrown around out there. And I was like, well, we don't need that. Like, no offense, but we don't need sad songs for the Super Bowl. We don't, that's bad. You know, for me, you could run Bruno Mars out there every time and we're all happy. We're all partying. So
the Taylor thing made sense from a Travis Kelce and engagement and all that standpoint, just the theater of it. But I mean, she's where she's at right now. It didn't really, I mean, she just toured and did all that. The thing with Bad Bunny doing it too, you know, like obviously he's at the top of his game right now. He's doing a world tour and everything, but he's not doing anything in the US from his tour.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want ICE raids at his concert and stuff. So, you know, that's going to be his, I guess, one U.S. performance is going to be that. So it is interesting.
All right. So this is we'll be hollering at you Sunday at some point. New York, hopefully the weather's good for you out there. And hopefully we're talking about a team that's almost back to 500. Although the 500 thing throws me off because if you get back to 2-2-1, are you still 500? You're not.
You don't think that's 500? You don't think if they finish the season 8-1?
Mm-mm.
No,
because you won 8 out of 17 games.
Well, it's as close as we can get.
That's like giving Micah a sack when Dak runs for a 1-yard gain. You know, that's tough when it comes to math. I don't really know. But hey,
I like that your coworker there had the tweet about, you know, them getting to 8-1 and the engagement that followed on that was quite humorous.
Yeah, it's pretty good when Brad Sham got in on that. Does good stuff. Oh, you know, also though, 8-1. I'll just tell you that my other coworker in that situation laughs at the idea that the Cowboys can win 8 games. Okay. But he also wants them tanking. So,
I mean,
but Brad called out them
lose on Sunday, and 8 seems like a lot.
If you lose on Sunday, it seems like a lot. Honestly, if you lose either of the next 2 games, it seems like a lot.
Fair.
And I think there's still a bit of a jury out on the Panthers, but I think we're kind of have an idea. It feels kind of similar ceilings for the Panthers and Jets. But if only if Aaron Rodgers was there, then they'd be a contender and would need 10 primetime games. That's going well so far. No time for that. We'll talk to you guys later in the week. Thank you so much for being here. We want to tell you to give us a good like or something online when you see the podcast up there. I don't know if that helps. If you leave a comment, we read them. So check that out. That's
we would
cool.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And give Haymaker Network a follow on Instagram and Twitter and all that too, because we're going to get some full video stuff coming out sometime in the next month. Now, October, going to be a big month for us.
And then follow the polyphonic spree because KT wants them to play the Super Bowl the following year.
Hey, that'd be an awesome show. That'd be an awesome show. Better than this bum Bad Bunny that I've never heard of. Get out of here, Albert Breer. What are we doing? I like Albert Breer too. And I was like, I don't want to call you out right here, but you're not even like the oldest guy. Like, I still think of you as like, this guy probably still like.
He's
you
probably
know-
he's probably in his 40s.
Exactly. It's like, what in the world?
Not old.
Just
Like,
crazy.
is that Happy Gilmore's caddy?
Easy, get off my lawn,
Oh.
take. Jeez. Jeez. All right.
Mhm.
And a big shout out to Bruce Bochy. We'll see you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.
Michael Parson.
For over a century, Johnny Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereaux Golf, Johnny Walker introduces the Johnny Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereaux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnnywalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly.